What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're talking about a brand new film coming out later this week called The Tutor. Directed by Jordon and written by Ryan King, this film stars Garret Hedlund, Victoria Justice, and Noah Schnapp, and tells the story of a tutor who takes on a job with a student that may be more than he was expecting. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video, and before we get too far into this, I'd like to start this off by saying a big thanks to those beautiful people over at Vertical Entertainment for sending me over another early screener, this time around for a film they have coming out later this week on March 24th, known as The Tutor. And I gotta start off by saying I think that it is almost a hilarious, just absolutely hilarious coincidence that I actually just covered Tron Legacy from 2010 that also stars Garret Hedlund. That was not at all a plan. I didn't do that on purpose, and I don't think I've even covered a single movie with Garret Hedlund here on the channel before. So to be covering two of his films that he's led in the last two videos that I've done here on the channel, I think is pretty hilarious. But without further ado, let's get into my thoughts on The Tutor without getting into spoilers, of course, because as of filming this and as of uploading this movie has yet to come out. But of course, I know that some of you are probably here because you saw the movie and you want to hear about somebody else talking about it. So The Tutor centers on Garret Hedlund's character Ethan, who is a tutor. He goes around and tutors specifically a bunch of rich kids. He ends up getting hired on to do private tutoring in people's homes, and you know, he's got a good reputation. And one day he gets a call from his boss saying, hey, listen, there's a family that wants to do a little bit of an under the table payment method kind of tutoring deal here. You know, it's a little bit strange to him initially, but it's like, hey, listen, it's gonna pay good money, like $2,500 a day. Are you interested? He's got a baby on the way with his girlfriend, Victoria Justice's character, Annie, and so he decides, yeah, I'll take on this job. That's when he goes to this really nice, fancy home that's clearly lived in and owned by a rich family, and he meets the kid that he's going to be tutoring, played by Noah Schnapp, and the character's name is Jackson. And immediately something is just off when it comes to the character of Jackson, and this is easily one of Noah Schnapp's more eerie and creepy performances that I've seen him give. Very different from what we've seen with Will Byers in the Stranger Things franchise. And so yeah, that's pretty much the base premise here. As the movie unravels, as things start to play out, as we got to see a little bit more about these characters and their background, we start to learn how they're more connected than maybe we thought they were when the movie started, and we start to kind of unravel some dark history when it comes to these two characters. And you have this tutor wondering what he has gotten himself wrapped up into, and that's all I'll say in terms of the plot and the story here, because most things that I would really talk about here when it comes to any big reveals or anything like that are of course spoilers. And this is a movie that's definitely rooted in a lot of mystery and has a lot of reveals over the course of the film that again would be spoilers and would completely change your perspective on the film if I said anything else. And so overall, I'll start this off by saying that I enjoyed the film. I found it to be a good time. I thought that it was incredibly well acted. I thought that the cinematography was nice. There's a lot of great scenery, location use throughout the course of the film, some great production design and set design from beginning to end. And overall, I think the production value of this film is definitely one of the stronger elements of this film. Garret Hedlund definitely gives a pretty solid performance here as our lead character, and he was definitely the thing that I think kept me gripped into the movie for the majority of the runtime, which is what you'd hope for when it comes to a protagonist. And yeah, you know, he plays this very caring tutor character that you know, definitely feel like he just wants to help this kid, and he's a little bit concerned as things start to unravel, and he starts to kind of see this weird dark side to this kid and starts to maybe understand why he was being paid under the table and different things like that. And overall, I enjoyed his journey. But what I will say is about halfway through the movie, there was a big issue I had with the movie, and that was the character logic. Now, again, this is a movie that has a lot of reveals that definitely change your perspective on it. This is supposed to be one of those movies that after you've seen how the movie ends, rewatching it would give you a completely different outlook on the characters and the story that's playing out. And while I do think that that's going to be the case, I also feel like there were certain scenes that were created in a certain way for you to specifically feel a certain way about a character. And a lot of times it didn't really feel like I could go like, oh yeah, well now that I think about it, that character in this scene did say this or do this, so I can see now how, knowing all the information, how things are different. I never really felt like that was the case when I look back on the movie. It does feel like something that the specific scenes were created in a way for you to feel something in that moment, so that you were consistently kind of lost in the mystery. And you know, I could be wrong, I didn't rewatch the movie after watching it, but a lot of times when you watch a movie that has those big reveals at the end, and you can kind of think back and be like, oh wow, like that, I do see now how that kind of like is different knowing that information. I never really felt that with this movie when it was over and I learned all the information that I needed to know. And so part of that for me was sometimes feeling like there was a complete lack of logic when it came to the characters, their decisions, the responses that they had for one another. And so sometimes the script and the screenplay for me kind of let down the actors, who I thought was giving really great performances throughout. Victoria Justice probably gives the most dramatic performance I've ever seen her give in something, especially as somebody who grew up watching Victorious. You know, it's definitely different from what I'm considering her as an actress when I think about it. Garret Hedlund gives a really dramatic and solid performance here, and I gotta go ahead and say, they give this man the worst wig and toupee I've ever seen in my whole life in this movie. I thought I've seen some pretty bad wigs and toupees with actors like Nicolas Cage, but man, I don't know what's going on with the wig that they have Garret Hedlund in this movie. I mean, listen, I don't have hair, you know, I shaved my head, it's buzz cut, it doesn't grow the same way as when I was a young lad. I understand, and I don't know if that's what Garret was going through and they just had to throw something on there, or if it was a creative choice, but it was so bad that I almost expected the character at a certain point to say that he was wearing a toupee of some sort or wearing a wig, like it was gonna be a reveal in the movie, and it's not. It's his hair. There's even a point where, because he has the bad hairline from the wig, there's a point where you could just see like the buzzed hair underneath the wig, and it just kind of ruined the illusion of his hair. I'm not gonna lie, it was incredibly distracting the entire time. And again, I don't know if Garret Hedlund is struggling with hair loss and they were trying to wrap that up with this terrible wig, or if it was just like something that the creators did and they wanted this character to have this hairstyle. Whatever the case may be, terrible wig, terrible toupee, and yeah, it was incredibly distracting throughout the course of the film. As I mentioned before, Noah Schnapp is our other lead character in the film, and I think he gives a really good performance here. There's a dark, eerie creepiness to his character. There's a lot of mystery around his character, but again, it kind of comes back to what I was saying. This is a movie that I found sometimes just lacked logic when it came to its dialogue and when it came to the character reactions to things, because there are points about halfway through the movie where it was just losing me. I was really intrigued for the first act, even a good chunk of the second act, and it was somewhere in the middle, in the latter part of the second act, that I was just kind of questioning, like, what are these decisions? Like, why would you react that way? Well, why is this guy underreacting to this? Why is this guy overreacting to this? It never fully made sense at times, and then once we ramp up into the third act and a lot of reveals are starting to come out that really tie the story together, it was entertaining and engaging to watch for sure, and we got great performances throughout it, but I often felt like it just never really fully connected. It felt like something was slightly missing just because of some of the character logic and some of the script leading up to it, even if I really enjoyed the setup and I enjoyed the performances and all that. I think if you're a fan of these actors, if you're looking for some sort of different kind of mystery film to sink your teeth into, there's something to be enjoyed here for sure. This movie will be having a limited theatrical release and then eventually be showing up on digital platforms for rental and purchase. And again, I just want to say a big thanks to those beautiful people over at Vertical Entertainment for sending me over an early screener. This movie is very well made. It's got really great actors in the film, really great people who are behind the camera as well. I just do think that there was elements in the writing and why the characters were acting in a certain way that for me didn't ultimately come together by the time we got to the end, even if I still enjoyed the film. So a big thanks to you guys for watching here. Definitely want to hear what you guys have to say, whether you watched this movie and that's what brought you to this review, or you're watching this review before you get to see the movie. Whatever the case may be, definitely leave any and all comments down below. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video, because it helps the channel out, and I would love for you guys to join me again for another video in the future. So please do hit that subscribe button. I got plenty more reviews, both for new movies and old movies, coming around the corner. So a big thanks to you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.